I know I'm an author, and if you are all these readers, then you just rate me 1 star on Goodreads right now. So some of you are still authors too. This reader doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside a book. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out of the library. If it reads our back catalog, then it has no more books. Nothing left to read from us. And then it's won. And I'm your host, Clay McLeod Chapman, and welcome to Fearmongers. Oh my lordy, 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 lordy. Tonight we have some of my favorites. Oh, the author of the free, I mean, this is a high mark. But Spread Me, the freakiest book I think I may have read this year.
Sweet
Sarah
talker.
Gailey. Oh my Lord. Hello, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm excellent now, Clay. I'm so excited to be here with you.
We'll keep the bar low and we'll
Okay,
work up to it.
I'm
We'll
mid
work up.
excited to be here with you.
Okay, that's better. I like low expectations so that I can kind of like move my way up.
We're gonna have an adequate time.
Fair, decent. I'll go for decent. But if Andrew Joseph White has anything to say about tonight, I swear to you it is going to be a doozy because Andrew is the author of none other than You Weren't Meant to Be Human, which I I swear, I think there's something about the two of you coming together. I want this on my tombstone because I feel like we were kind of speaking about it before the show started, but I think this is like the perfect pairing. Like the characters in these books, the books themselves, there's a certain kismet here, and I'm really happy that the two of you could join me tonight because um I love your books, and this is amazing. And it's funny how there's like life before the world reads your books, and then there's life after. And this feels like that kind of like tipping point into, or maybe a cellular wall is breaking, and everything is gonna get a little bit funky. Um, but I think there's something to be said. The both of you are kind of in the same situation, so I want to kind of ask, how's life right now? You guys are we in revision land right now? Where's our rewrite mind?
I mean, personally, I'm so psychologically normal about my book coming out in a month and like 2 days. Everyone in my life can tell you I am even keeled, baby. Just chilling.
That is there like is there like a sustained note right there of anxiety, of stress, or is this just like
Yeah, if you could just take like a set of car keys and scrape them over a violin string, I think that would be about the like sound coming out of my brain.
because you just turned in something, yeah? Like we're in rewrite land?
I just was freed from a manuscript that has been tormenting me for the last 5 years. We're transmitting it to the copy editor right now, which means I am not rewriting it ever again in my whole life. And I will say there's like a hot air balloon weightlessness that comes with knowing that I'm not going to have to restructure this thing ever again.
And Andrew, I feel as if, is it true that we're kind of taking you, is this a break from revision land so that you can kind of speak to us, and then once this conversation is over, are you diving right back in? Are you that deep into it?
My wife will be very annoyed that as soon as I log out of this, I will be going back to revisions. But yes, I absolutely am. My 2026 YA is currently in developmental edits, and it's been fighting me a little more than usual. I didn't think it was going to be this rough. But it's gotten to the point where I'm actually excited for release day because that will be a break. That will be a relief. Um, I love release day. It's one of the easiest days for me, honestly, because I'm like, I know how this goes. I have the script. Let's just go. Um, but I deadline is September 5th and it comes out September 9th, so we're really cutting it close.
Wow. That's intense. But both of you are rather prolific, or like there's an output that kind of branches beyond kind of one specific medium, one specific genre, whether it's comics, whether it's YA, adult themed work. I mean, do you have to kind of put on the hat that says like, okay, today I'm working on the YA book, today I'm working on the graphic novel, today I'm going to work on this uh, book for like adult horror readers? Like, is it that kind of like much of a switch, or is it just kind of blend in one day after another?
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't
I
really. No, go for it. Go for it.
I clock in to my job that is writing, and I have this horrible thing that I do to myself where I make a massive spreadsheet with granular deadlines for every project and overall deadline that I have, so that I know every single day what I have to write in order to meet all my deadlines. So what I do is I sit down at my desk and I have my little cup of tea, and I make sure that the cat has everything she needs to be content for the next 12 minutes. And then I open up the spreadsheet and the spreadsheet tells me what to do. So the spreadsheet says, today you're working on comics, today you're outlining, today you're working on, writing this sex scene or whatever. And that's sort of how I get myself oriented. Otherwise, I would be so overwhelmed by just the disparity between the different projects.
So when you wake up, is there a moment of not knowing? Like, is it like, what am I going to do today? Let's check the spreadsheet. And then you're like, oh, today it's going to be this. It's the sex scene.
There's a blissful moment where I still think that I'm having, for example, the dream where I'm peeling all my own fingernails off and I feel totally at peace. And then I come online and this evil part of my brain whispers, today you have 3 meetings and a deadline.
There you go. Andrew, how about you?
I don't really feel like there's like a massive difference between my YA and my adult. Really, the like my agent actually said like the content isn't that different. It's how you handle the content.
Hmm.
Because my YAs are known for like being really gross and really brutal and in your face for the age range. So when I'm writing adult, really when I work on it, I'm like, I'm gonna be a little more cynical today. And when I'm working on my YA, I'm like, okay, we're talking to kids. We got to be a little nicer. Um, but it doesn't really feel like super different. But that's largely just because, I do a lot of YA, and every now and then I'm just kind of like, we should do adult so I can talk about that. Yeah, that sounds great. All right.
Mhm. But I mean, I mean, I truly do believe that the work that both of you are doing, it's not even boundary pushing as much as it is boundary, like, there are no boundaries. And I feel like what a younger reader might read versus an adult versus someone who wants to read something that might be a little spicier. Like it's these are things I feel as if both Spread Me and You Weren't Meant to Be Human are books that you come to them and they kind of show you that like there are no boundaries. Whatever boundaries are kind of internal to you, we can kind of either push them away, do like break through them. But I honestly, I don't know, like I read them and I felt a certain kind of expansion, whether that was awareness or consciousness, but it felt as if like, oh, we are going beyond the realm of what is where I've been, and we're going to go somewhere new. And I guess my question is then, is that something that you as writers are kind of conscious of? Like, it's like, okay, we know that there's a line and we're going to cross it, or there's a boundary and we're going to push it. Or is it just like, these are the stories I want to tell and I'm going to tell them the way that I want to tell them? And I'll ask Sarah first
Ooh, ooh.
because you guys are being so polite to one another.
Yeah, it was me. I was really, I was waiting. Um, so first I approach with the story that I want to tell. And then I try to find the places in that story. And this was a gift that my brilliant editor at Tor, Miriam Weinberg, gave me when I was writing my debut novel. She was giving me an editorial call that made me want to jump out a window. And one of the things she said was, you have to kill this character that you love. Not just he has to, it's not he has to die in the narrative. Like you have to remove him from the book. And I was like, no, no, no. He's my emotional support character. I love him. And she said, with this character, you're giving your reader a safety net that tells them that no matter what happens in this book, things can't be too bad. And you're using it to make it so your reader will trust you because you're not giving your reader other reasons to trust you. So you're giving them this safety net that says, like, no matter what happens, you'll have this guy who we all love. And if you take him out, as a writer, you will have to give your readers a real reason to trust you with this story. And so that's what I do is I say, here's the story I want to tell. And then I go in and I find the safety nets and I whip out a Bowie knife and I hack them away as hard as I can.
Do they exist initially? And you're like, oh, safety net. Sorry, like take it out. Like,
Oh, always, because writing this shit is scary and I know it's going to hurt and I know it's going to feel wretched.
yeah.
In Spread Me, there's a scene that was already pushing the boundaries of what I felt comfortable writing in terms of sexually explicit material. And I remember going through my last revision on it, sitting in an airport lounge. I had gotten one of those, like, suddenly they give you a free pass into rich people world. And I got to go in the lounge and have like the free breakfast or whatever. And I was so excited. And I sat down, I opened my laptop to edit this book. And I opened that scene and I was working on like line edits for it. And I thought, why do I feel so fine with this scene? I don't feel uncomfortable. And I went through and edited it until I was blushing in the airport lounge. The one problem is that halfway through that edit, I ran out of. They give you free booze in these lounges, and I ran out of champagne, and I went to go get more, but I left my laptop open. And when I came back, the guy who had been sitting next to me was white as a sheet, and I
Do you think he
realized
was
he had
reading?
snooped
Oh
and
my God.
seen the scene that I was intentionally editing to try and make myself feel uncomfortable.
Oh, that's amazing. And then 5 minutes later, you're on the plane sitting next to that person. That's the like, that's the perfect kind of like button to
No
it.
safety net for him either, I guess.
Oh God.
I want that to happen to me so bad, like genuinely.
Hey, what's this guy running over here? Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
come to the
nice.
Delta Lounge and learn stuff about yourself.
Just leave the laptop open. I'm just gonna go get some champagne, guys. Excuse me. Nobody look at the open laptop over here. That's amazing. Andrew, how about you? Like, is there, like, are you kind of conscious of the line and then you crossing it, or is there a line?
For me, it's very much this is how I approach a lot of stuff. I just write the thing and then I hand it to somebody and they're like, "Oh God." Um, I'm just following my whimsy wherever I want to go. And whimsy is a terrible word to describe it. However, it is the only one that I have. Um, and it's literally just me doing whatever I want, and my editor being like, "Hey, no," or "Yeah, sure, let's push it." I
Yeah.
will say though, there is a scene in here. It is the abandoned auction house scene for the people who have read it. That I wrote it and then went back and went, "Oh, I'm gonna have to skip this chapter in the audiobook. I am so sorry. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to sit through it without wanting to claw my own face off." Um, but while I was writing it, I was like, "Wee." So it's all just in retrospect that I'm like, "What was I doing?"
Yeah.
Um, and I
I,
think I wrote that like on my lunch break at work,
oh God.
in the office.
Do you, and do you leave your laptop open at the office? Like, is there a coworker who's like, hey, check this out? I'm
No,
like, oh,
everything stays on a tiny little flash drive so it can be removed as quickly as possible if need be.
this case, the Exodus. I would have killed to be the first reader, the first responder reader for both of these books. Like I'm imagining who that person is and what their personal response was. Like this is how I would respond to reading this book. And then, either sharing that or offering up some kind of modified version of it, but like that there was someone who had to read this before anybody else. And I want to ask you, who was that person for both of you? And what was there? Were they like, "Oh, hey, okay, let's talk about this." Andrew, I want like, was it your wife? Was it someone else? Like, who's the first responder read? Who's your beta reader?
So the first person who read You Weren't Meant to Be Human is a children's librarian in New York. So
Nothing can scare
one of
them.
my friends
Wow.
is a YA specific librarian. And he gets the first drafts of my book chapter by chapter because I need the dopamine hit of somebody telling me nice things as I'm working. So I have somebody whose job that is for the first draft and somebody whose job that is for the dev edits.
Mhm.
Just to keep me going, like please tell me nice things. I have a very thin skin and I am a huge baby. Please be nice to me. And it was my friend Sam, who is a YA librarian in New York. And the entire time you can go through the comments. It is just him going, "Ew, what is wrong with you? Oh, I know this is from you. Like I know this line is super personal, and I don't like that I know that about you." It's just a bunch of stuff like that. But I need the immediate reaction of just "Ew, gross," just the entire time I'm working.
Amazing.
Please give me feedback or I'll die. I'll shrivel up like a little plant in the sun.
Sarah, who was the first to get spread?
Oh
Who did
boy.
it spread to?
Well, my first reader for this one was my ex. We used to, we were still together at the time, and we used to work at this big desk side by side. And so I would finish a chapter and then just rotate my monitor screen and she would read it. And it's so funny to go back through this book because so much of it is about um, a romantic and sexual situation in which this isn't spoilers, it's the premise of the book, just for listeners who are scared. Um, it's about what it's like to be romantically and sexually interested in someone who is trying their hardest to trick you into loving them by showing you what they think you want to see. And my ex was uh at the maximum possible volume cheating on me at the time that she was reading this book, unbeknownst to me. And so she was giving me all this feedback about like, I really think that you could like dial up the manipulation here. I think that you could make this feel a little more sneaky and stuff. And I was like, wow, this insight is so sharp and helpful. And after I finished writing it, um, I think it was like 3 more months before I found out about the affair she was having.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, hang on a second.
So wait, did the feedback suddenly just kind of recalibrate itself for you? Like all of a sudden you're like, wow, all these notes, like they was there a shift in like she's in the book now? Like her the kind of like that genome of feedback
Oh,
is there.
sure. Well, here's the thing. Uh, I love doing research by talking to experts in their field when I'm writing. And this was just another way in which I got the insights of someone who studies hard and dedicates themselves to their craft.
Okay, I'm not gonna get personal. I swear, I won't delve. But like that is that's intense. That is wild. Does that change the way that you feel about the book itself? Like, does the book become some sort of like time capsule of this particular moment in your life?
No, no, no,
No.
not at all.
Okay.
It 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 much more changes my perspective on all of my work from that period of time because I
Hmm.
can see all the places now as I go back and edit and rewrite stuff that I wrote during that time. I can see where I wasn't trusting my instincts in my writing, and
Hmm.
that kind of brings a parallel to me for that experience of like, oh, I wasn't trusting my instincts overall. I was doubting myself, which is a great way to feel in hindsight because
Hmm.
now I'm like, oh no, my instincts were good. I should trust them. And I can't wait for like 4 years from now when I find out what instincts I shouldn't have been trusting this whole time.
All right, that's a great segue to kind of like focus and dig in a little bit more on Spread Me. We'll come back to Andrew, but I wanna for the uninitiated, because this is you've spoken of this book as like I want to write a fun book. Like this is your fun book, which
Yes.
in of itself is a wild thing to suggest. So for the uninitiated, can you explain Spread Me to our audience?
I would love to. Spread Me is an erotic horror novella that follows the head of a research team at an isolated research facility in the desert as she navigates a situation of her own making. It is very much a love letter to John Carpenter's The Thing. So this team is dealing with a specimen that has come in to their research facility from the outside, and that specimen has a prurient interest in the head of their team and does not realize that she reciprocates that interest.
For what it's worth, I have also always had an erotic draw to the thing, so I understand.
How could you not?
Right?
It's, I am ready to go to that research base. Call me a husky on that sled dog team, please.
Oh man, I love it. Does it? Do you then ask yourself like, well, who is the ideal reader for this book? Like, what's the, you know,
Me.
Andrew,
Yeah,
Andrew,
I
with
wrote
that
this one for Andrew Joseph White, period.
reader of one, book of one. Um, but does it? Do you then say to your like, was there ever a point in your life or in the writing of this book where you're saying to yourself like, okay, like who's on the receiving end of this, and like what's their kink? Like, are like, I'm not incorrect in assuming, is this your first erotica book? Is this your
Absolutely.
yeah?
You know, I do this thing. I really torture myself a lot in my career, and I do this thing where every book I write, I'm trying to find my growing edge as an artist and push on it. And one of the things that I said for a long time is I don't write erotica because I don't have the skill. It requires
Huh.
incredible skill. It's super hard. And I was like, I'm not good enough at that. It's the same reason I don't write middle grade. I'm like, I don't have the craft for that.
Okay, well then
And
can you I'm sorry to segue, but like can you speak to what that craft is? Like what is it about erotica? Like the yeah, what are we speaking about?
yeah, so I mean, erotica and horror writing are kind of two sides of the same craft, which is inviting the reader into an experience of their own body. With horror, we try to invite the reader into an experience of their body that either anticipates or currently experiences discomfort. And with erotica, you're trying to invite the reader into an experience of their body that either anticipates or experiences pleasure. And pleasure is a lot more specific than discomfort. You can get specific with discomfort, but there are a lot of universal discomforts. But pleasure is very specific to a person's context and identity and particular desires and psyche and experiences that they've had. And it's really hard to write in a way that invites someone to experience or anticipate pleasure in their body in a way that's going to hit for them specifically.
Mhm.
Um, and I for a long time I was like, I know that I don't know how to do that, and doing it badly would be very embarrassing for me. So I don't want to try. And with this, I finally said, okay, it's time. I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna do it the fucking hardest way possible, which is to combine it with inviting readers to experience or anticipate discomfort at the same time as pleasure.
But do they at a certain point form some sort of double helix? Like do they become kind of intertwined as I mean, I'm thinking kind of Cenobite style now, but like just like the pleasure and the pain, or the kind of discomfort and the like that they do they coalesce, or do they run parallel to one another? Like I don't know. I'm curious.
I gotta tell you, Clay, I sure hope that they come together because if they don't, then my book sucks. so so I'm crossing my little fingers and toes that they do.
What is that? Is that like like are we talking like a magnet, like of like it's a resistance and an attraction at the same time? Like I should be running away, but I'm compelled to dig in?
Yes, it's the way that disgust is a form of obsession is kind of the sweet spot here. I think it's the thing that you can't look away from, that you can't stop thinking about being unsettled by.
Yeah.
Um, that I think that's where that line blurs, and a reader hopefully starts to just focus on sensation and go, I'm feeling this so much. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it both? Is it neither? I can't tell. That's what I'm really hoping to bullseye with this
Yeah.
book.
That is amazing, by the way. That is like the the kind of like that cognitive dissonance, like, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling something, and I'm a little worried, like what's happening here, um, which is why I think we have to do it. We kind of talked about this beforehand, and I feel like it's story time. Can like are you willing? Are you prepared to unleash Spread Me onto this audience?
I'm as ready as I think I could possibly be right now. I'm going to tell your audience what I told you before we started recording, which is that this will be my first time reading from this book out loud to
Exclusive.
anyone.
This is a Fearmongers exclusive,
A
people.
Fearmongers exclusive just for you, Clay. Should I go for it?
Yeah, we're gonna turn our screens off so that you have the stage. I do want to ask, like, if this goes well, are you gonna read this at every stop on every tour, pits
Oh
like
yeah.
as you go?
This is the test drive.
This is okay. Here we go. All
We'll
right,
find out.
the it's
Um,
on our shoulders, guys.
I'm going to give readers a little context before I come in so that they know what the fuck I'm talking about. Um, so prior to this scene, our protagonist, Kinsey, who is the leader of her research team, has instructed her team to bring a specimen into the lab that they're in from outside the desert. This goes against protocol. And the specimen has turned out to be alive still. The team came into contact with the specimen, then left it in an exam room to discuss what to do about it, and everyone started to feel unwell. And the station physician called a quarantine for anyone who feels unwell to go into their bunk and stay there and stay put, and everyone else is going to do their best to like isolate and not get sick. Kinsey has told her team that she doesn't feel well and has taken herself to her bunk, which is one of the only solo berths in the lab research station. And we are meeting her when she is all by herself. The second the door closes behind her, Kinsey takes the framed poster of a distant desert off the wall of her bunk. There's another much smaller photo stuck to the back of the frame with paper lab tape. She peels the tape away carefully so as not to rip the paper on the back of the frame. It's not difficult. She's been removing and resticking this same photo for 2 months, and the tape's morale is low. She'll need to replace it soon, she knows, but that doesn't matter right now. She turns the photo over with unspeakable relief. She hasn't recovered from the first flush of desire that hit her at a bizarre, inopportune moment when the specimen opened its eyes, when it seemed to look at her. A mixed up panic impulse, she figures that kind of thing happens all the time. Kinsey still remembers the neuropsych professor who taught her class the 5 F's of adrenaline response: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and procreate. In the nervous system, that professor said, fear and arousal are always going steady. Still, it was jarring to experience that sudden, strange, misplaced lust when the specimen awoke. It primed Kinsey's proverbial pump. It left her vulnerable. She's a strong person, but she's not made of stone. And when Jacques looked up from his puke-filled trash can with such an obvious fever, when Saskia looked ready to faint, when Mads said the word quarantine, it was all too much. Kinsey's decision to isolate herself in her bedroom isn't because she feels ill. It's just that she's so horny she thinks she might die from it. She collapses onto her bed with the photo in one hand. Her lower lip is between her teeth already, her eyes locked on the black and white image. It's a famous picture in certain circles, one of the finest examples of electron microscopy in the world. A T2 bacteriophage. The wind squeals against the walls of the station as Kinsey stares hungrily at the photo of the virus. The long, slim, spidery fibers it uses to quest for a host splay out at wanton angles. A thick, sturdy, rod-like sheath connects the fibers at one end of the bacteriophage to the capsid on the other, like a body connects legs to a head. The multifaceted capsid looks for all the world like the candy sphere of a lollipop. It's perfect. She drinks in the stretch of those fibers, the stunning geometry of the capsid. She imagines herself as an unsuspecting bacterium. The feel of the virus grasping her with its fibers, the sudden shock of penetration when it slides its sheath through her cell wall, the invasive rush of nucleic acid being injected into her. She thinks of what it would feel like when that genetic material started replicating inside of her, changing her, taking her over. The heat, the hum, the rising tide of infection. This is all she wants. This is all she's ever wanted. The wind outside is howling now, a low air raid drone. The wall of her room shivers as the first real gust of sand hits it. She unbuttons her jeans and shoves them down around her thighs, her eyes locked onto the photo. The denim digs into the soft meat of her skin, keeps her from being able to spread her legs too far. She knows that this is how it would feel to be restrained by strong bacteriophage fibers, transfixed, unable to escape. When she pushes her pinched thumb and forefinger inside of herself, she imagines them as belonging to something transformative, grotesque, peregrine. No lover has ever fingered her this way. She loves it because of how alien it feels, how inhuman. She bites her own shoulder to muffle a cry as she thinks of the virus shooting itself into her just like this, careless, invasive, trying to make her into something more like itself, changing her, alien, relentless, irresistible. She's close, she's so close when she feels something strange, a tickle on her hip bone like a trailing hair. She almost ignores it. She's right there, but she glances down and sees it. A harvester ant from the specimen's body. She'd shoved it into her pocket, truly unthinking in that panicked moment, muscle memory guiding her hand, and now it drags its half-crushed body across her skin. The ant's antennae wave drunkenly as it charts a path across her hip bone, toward the wet ache between her legs. The storm outside rises to a high scream. Kinsey doesn't breathe. She relaxes her eyes, presses her thumb and forefinger together tighter inside herself, lets her vision blur, and the ant stops looking like an ant. The slender expanse of its thorax looks cylindrical for a moment. The questing node of its head looks gem-like. The now useless legs it drags behind it take on the trailing elegance of bacteriophage fibers. It pulls itself across her flesh toward the shady refuge of her groin. Kinsey watches it with half-lidded eyes and fucks herself deeper and rougher, hard enough that the knuckle at the base of her thumb aches. She dips her chin so she can clench her teeth around a mouthful of shirt collar. She rides a questing wave, the feel of the ant in her pulsing fingers and her own bucking hips turning her animal. It rips through her like lightning. She bites back a cry, her wrist slamming down onto the soft mound of her pubis as she rises to meet the orgasm. The freight train scream of the sandstorm striking the base covers the noise she can't make herself hold in. She's faintly aware of a pinpoint sensation beneath the skin of her inner arm, the ant wriggling desperately trapped between her and her pleasure. She ignores it, thrusts against herself again and again, still coming, still coming, still coming. The ant dies before she's finished. She falls asleep to the sound of the screaming sand bearing down on her, one hand still tucked between her legs, the other still clutching the photo of the bacteriophage. By the time she wakes up, everyone on her team has entered isolation.
Oh man. Oh, what if Andrew and I just didn't come back and we were just
We
like,
just left you.
just
You just had to
like,
deal with
"Yeah,
that."
man."
I was holding that fear in my heart the entire time I was reading. What if you just
That was it. Guys, hello? Is anyone there? It's just like 45 more minutes of just Sarah being like, okay, I'll just
just eye
keep reading.
contact with the webcam?
Just silently judging. That was amazing. I was, I always like floated out there like, hey, maybe you guys could read like a section from the book, and like a lot of times authors are like, you know what, okay, fine, or some have been like, nope, not gonna do it, and but I was hoping that would be this. I even like dog-eared my copy. I was like, maybe I would read it, but like oh, because that's the moment when you realize, oh, and it's like early in the book too. It's like within the first 30, 50, like early, like
Yeah,
it's,
it's ends on page 26.
oh my God. Yeah, this is the rodeo that we're entering. Like, like going in, like, which I mean, I have to ask, like, I mean, this is early days. The book comes out on the 23rd of September. Like, has there been a response from, like, who's the reader that comes up to you and is like, yeah, like, I like that spread me is like, that's the stuff right there. Like, d-
I mean, I've had an incredible early response. People are
yeah.
being so kind and so open. I very intentionally do not look at negative reviews of my work because I'm already psychologically fucked up enough as it is. I don't need help. But I've gotten directly contacted by a number of people who had said exactly what I hope this book will do, which is that reading it made them ask themselves questions about
Mm,
what fear and pleasure mean to them. Um, and that's like that's medicine.
yeah.
That's what the whole thing's about, right? Is
That's what
challenging
it's about.
people to re-examine themselves and their assumptions and their desires. It's been really cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out to the desert, guys. I'm gonna find my the
No,
bacteria of
but
my dreams.
seriously, like I developed crushes on Pyramid Head and the Necromorphs from the Dead Space series when I was 12. Okay. So like this book was just kind of like, oh, someone gets it. All right, sweet. It's not just me. Hell yeah. Like,
There you go.
I'm
We're all
so
just
glad I don't have to do it myself. I'm glad you did it because I can't find a time in my schedule, so I get to just read it and sit back and relax and enjoy it.
I mean, like I said, I wrote this one just for you, so
Thank you.
this was actually book tour. It's over,
Mhm.
guys. Thank you. Um, Andrew, I gotta ask you. This is your first, technically your first adult novel.
Yes.
There's three prior, all YA,
Hmm.
and I would I guess my first question is, why do you feel like you have to make up for lost time by putting all of the intensity of 20 adult horror books into one? Because after having read this book, like I had to actually take a break. Like I this book wounds you, the dear reader, and there's no like I'm gonna put it down and I'm gonna pick up this book or I'm gonna dive right into the next one. Like no, you have to actually like the world kind of stops after reading You Weren't Meant to Be Human. And I yeah, what I there's five questions and they're all taking the shape of one, which is like why did you do this to us? Why did you do
I
this to
had
me?
to. I had to. I had to. Because like when I'm working on my YA, like the reason that I do it is because like there were no books about me when I was a kid, right? Like I didn't figure out that I was trans until I was like 19 or 20. I didn't figure out I was autistic until I was 20 or 21. And I'm trying to fill the gap in literature for that age range. Because I was reading things that I shouldn't at that age. I was reading Hog by Samuel R. Delany. I was reading Cows by Matthew Stokoe. I was reading Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright because my parents gave me an Amazon gift card and did not check what books I was spending my money on. But I wanted that like boundary pushing, that like really sick feeling in the stomach, but also I wanted it to be relevant to who I was at that age. And also now that, when I started writing for publication, I was like, well, I need to fill that gap in the literature for trans and disabled kids as well. But every now and then I come across a story that has to be told for grown-ups. That has to be something I'm writing for me now instead of for me back then.
Mhm,
And I started writing You Weren't Meant to Be Human about 3 months after Roe v. Wade fell. I
mm,
started playing with it right around that time, very, very quickly. Because I'd been like working with the idea of forced pregnancy narratives since middle school, if not earlier. I was doing some weird stuff with My Littlest Pet Shop toys. Okay, we don't need to get into that. But like I've been fixated on this concept since I was super, super little, but I was never able to actually like do anything with it. And as I got older and as I transitioned and as I started, like growing up, I was like, oh, this is becoming more and more like present in my life. This is becoming more and more of a thing, but I was never able to get it into a story. And then Roe v. Wade fell, and I was like, well, I have a lot of feelings and I need to get them out as violently as humanly possible. So if I have to deal with it, I'm going to make everybody else deal with it. They have to be miserable with me too.
It's an uplifting book, guys. Uh,
So uplifting.
I mean, I mean, I'm not gonna, I will not spoil anything, but I will say, walking away from the book, there is hope.
There
Um,
is. I find it deeply cathartic, and I wrote the whole book for that ending.
yeah.
I've always wanted to write a book that had that in it, and a lot of the stories I tried to write had that ending at the beginning of the book before it started. And I was like, no, 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 no. We need to see the lead up.
Hmm.
We need to see it happen on the page because I'm
So,
just like that, I guess.
okay, so I think we need to kind of explain for the uninitiated, like what is You Weren't Meant to Be Human? What is this the story here?
Yes. So You Weren't Meant to Be Human follows an autistic trans man named Crane. He is not nonverbal, but he doesn't speak. Not because he can't, but because fuck you, he doesn't want to. And he has been taken in by a sentient mass of worms and flies called the Hive, because he was not sure he was going to be able to survive as a normal person in society, as a transgender autistic person. So he gets taken in and given a purpose. He is given a sort of found family. He is given, direction, which he's never had, and a life that he is actually able to deal with. And then his situationship knocks him up, and the Hive is like, no, you need to carry the child to term. And the main character really, 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 really doesn't want to do that. And it is simply put, 6 months, because the main character finds out he's pregnant about 3 months in. 6 months of him, of me putting him through the ringer, of just doing the worst possible things that I could think of to him in every single chapter, and just exercising some demons, I guess. It's just hard. It's just horrible, start to finish.
And I feel like I can say this about both books here, but there is, with You Weren't Meant to Be Human, there is a grueling sense of catharsis
Yes.
that I've never I've never quite experienced it quite this way. And I'm gonna not do the spoiler. I'm not gonna spoil anything, I swear. But I wanna kind of like speak of the ending and what leads us to the ending because I feel like it's something that readers need to kind of experience it for themselves. But like, was this always were we always leading in this general direction? Was this always the case, or did you discover that kind of in process?
It was always going to be that.
Oh my god.
That was the first. I knew how it ended, and then I had to work backwards as to what the story was going to be, because this is a concept that, again, I have been fixated on for a very, very long time, because it is such a violent and gruesome rebellion against what a quote unquote body like mine is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm like, all right, well, if that's what's going to happen, I'm going to make you regret it, right? So I knew that that was always where it was going to go because it was the worst thing I could think of. And I was like, I have to do it. There's no other way that this book ends. And I was like, listen, listen, listen. If you when you bought this book, right? If you make me change the ending, I am giving back my advance. I will I will walk. So thankfully we kept it.
So, okay, well then let's talk about that because someone did buy this book. Saga bought this
God
book.
bless them, right?
Like
Why? Why did they do that? I don't know. I
your editor's Joe Monty, right?
yes.
Oh my god. Like I'm just thinking of the moment, the acquisitions meeting where you've got just this like this ring of editors and they're like, "What are we talking about? What are we going to discuss today?" And Joe Monty comes in and he's like, "Guys, I've got this book. And let me tell you, it goes to some places and we're going to buy it." Like like it was it did you prepare anyone? Did you prepare your agent? Did you prepare your editor? Did you prepare like anyone who's reading this book? Did you say to yourself, I want to warn you up front that this is what's going to happen? Or did you just kind of sit back and say, enjoy, have fun, I'll see you on the other side? Bye.
So I actually got my current agent with the proposal for this book. And I straight up told her, like, hey, I wanted to let you know this is how it ends. Like, this is what the book is about, and this is how I'm handling it. And she signed me for some reason. And then I essentially, I gave Joe the synopsis. I was like, look, this is how it ends. And he bought it for some reason. I don't, and also on top of this, which this is wild, he bought it on an R&R proposal.
Uh-huh.
Essentially, he saw the first 90 pages of a version I did not finish, and then went, I want to buy this, but I need you to change this big, like the way that the story is structured. So just give
Okay.
me a synopsis and we're golden.
Wow. Because he didn't read the last 9 pages. He didn't read the last 20 pages. Like that did
No,
not that was not, but like the map point was like we had the schematic.
hmm
And
In the
this
synopsis, it was one paragraph at the bottom there, like, hey, this is how it ends. Make sure you read that chapter and know I'm not kidding.
I know that anyone who hasn't read the book and is hearing this, they're just saying to themselves like, what the fuck are they talking about? But I feel like in retrospect, this moment will make all the sense in the world. People, you just need to like let us have this conversation now, so that when you finish the book, you'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
It's like, oh, yeah, that's what that was. Yeah.
okay. Um, because that is an achievement. Like that is like I.
People keep letting me do things. Like, I did this to my YA editor too. I think I was one of the first books that my editor took to her new boss when she went to Peachtree.
Yeah.
And Peachtree, before me, did not do YA like that. And apparently her boss was like, well, we hired you to do a 180 on the imprint, so sure, I guess. So I just keep putting my editors through situations and they keep letting me do it. It's their fault at this point. We can blame them.
But that's the thing. That's these books find the line because there are lines. And I
Yeah.
guess the lines that we're talking about, or I'm alluding to, forgive me, is shelf space. That like this exists in the YA book bay, and this exists in the horror bay, or this like, but I I feel the work that both of you are doing is pushing beyond those bays or pushing beyond those specific shelves, and maybe there's a little mutation, maybe there's a like it kind of like bleeds into like there's a little bit of a romance over here, or there's like a little bit like I guess I'm just wondering like at what point do you say to yourself like fuck the bookshelf, let's just live, let's tell the stories we want to tell, and what find like the readers will find you, or like how do like I'm not asking a question, forgive me. I'm but I do feel like how do readers find You Weren't Meant to Be Human? Like do they have to go to the horror? Like can a YA reader come to who's read your previous work find this and say this is a continuation, or is it like do you want to live in a separate book bay?
So I would have read this as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
100%. I would
Mm-hmm.
have found this when I was 15 or 16 and eaten it up. And I get a lot of my younger readers being like, "Can I read this?" And I'm like, um, uh, read the content warnings and don't say I didn't warn you. I'm not going to smack it out of your hand. And also, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Give me a little bit of space because I know I would have done it. I can't be a hypocrite, but also don't tell me, right?
Yeah.
But I was very specific that I didn't use a pen name for this, right? I wanted it 100% to be immediately recognizable to me, largely because I want my YA readers to know they immediately have somewhere to go if they ever feel themselves aging out of it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like, like also have something for you here too. I am following you throughout your
Yeah.
life and as you grow up. So this isn't going to be my only adult because I do want to work in both spaces, and sort of like work with my younger readers as they grow up into the adult space. But like if they find it, I mean like yeah, I also would have as a kid. So like I can't say too much. Just read the content warnings and please put it down if you have to. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Uh, maybe is I we kind of discussed this before, but do you want to do a little taste test? Like, is
Yes.
there a little a little bit of the
Yeah.
world that we want to go into?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I only have one page, and while this is somehow also a horny book, I'm not reading either of those sections. Um, let's see here. Crane drives to the apartment just outside Washville with the box of pregnancy tests in his shotgun seat like another passenger. The radio is stressing him out. The country station runs sermons between songs. Do you have a personal relationship with Jesus? NPR reports on the wildfires choking out every inch of sky west of the Mississippi and an increase in deadly foodborne infections. The late night host on the top 40 station thinks disabled parking spots are stupid. He turns it off. He'd known from a young age that he didn't want kids. It started as a general revulsion towards children and motherhood, how he hadn't liked kids when he was a kid. In elementary school, when the news ran sob stories about newborns abandoned in dumpsters or left behind in hospitals, he never understood why those mothers were called monsters. If he ever had a baby, he thought, that's what he'd do. When he was older and he learned the mechanics of it all, it certainly didn't change his mind. A fetus cannibalizes the mother, it crushes organs, saps nutrients, would starve its host to death if biology allowed it. Birth is a miracle, a health teacher claimed, but all he could see was the blood. That night, he Googled birth complications until he fell asleep, dreaming of uterine rupture and postpartum psychosis. Then, the final nail in the coffin. Crane is a man. Sure, whatever. Trans men can have babies and want them and love them. He doesn't give a fuck. Do you understand that if there's a parasite in me, I'll kill myself? According to Aspen's review of the last slate of Supreme Court rulings, abortion is not only banned, but now officially a murder charge in 10 states, including West Virginia, effective immediately.
Mm, man.
This section did not change from the first draft. I wrote this um, I think in my first sit down to ever work on this ever, and only a little bit of the wording has changed.
It's so wild. And why is that, do you think? What is the kind of the pristine quality of it? Like, how did
It's
it,
me.
you know?
Crane is, I think, about a solid 75 to 80% literally just me.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things in here that survived through a lot of drafts because it's borderline autobiographical. Not what happens, but the emotions behind them.
Hmm.
That's just me. That's just me. Which was a really awkward conversation when my parents read it for the first time.
Wow.
Um,
Um,
they were just like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, Okay."
okay. So Sam read it first, and then when was the parents' read? How
So
far
yeah,
down
so
the
so
road?
Sam read it, and then it was my agent, and then my I don't think my parents read it until advanced reader copies went out.
Okay.
Because usually I will send like the Word document early on to my dad. My mom doesn't really read it until it's in like a physical form. But with this one, I'm like, I just need to put this off. I just need to put this off. And then same when my father-in-law started asking about it, I'm like, you don't need to know things about the guy that married your daughter. You don't need to know this, dude. We have game night every few months. Like
Uh, um, I have a couple more questions for the two of you that I want to kind of share, and then we'll call it a night. And because I want to be mindful of time. But this is I just want to start saying it now. It it is genuinely a treat to hear the two of you speak to your work and read from it and share it. And Sarah, if that was the first, it's gotta it starts now, but it has to keep on going. And Andrew, I just feel like no, and you speak to this a bit in your acknowledgments at the end of the book, but like knowing how much of you is kind of baked into the story is it makes it more of a cathartic experience for the reader. And I don't know, like I just want to to express that I feel like it's a real genuine privilege to just have this. So thank you, thank you. Um, I want to shift and speak specifically. You know, we've talked a bit about Crane and Kinsey, but I want to talk about the the monsters that you've created, the entities, the things, you know, because they are both of this world and not. They are sentient, you know, amalgamations of other things. You know, like they are not necessarily monsters that you would immediately. I mean, you would immediately be like, I don't want to be around this thing, but they are not. They're not werewolves. They're not vampires. They're not. You know, they are creations that kind of exist in this kind of odd otherness, this kind of like, um, and I just want to speak to that. I want to ask you, like, you know, Sarah, when you created this organism, how much of it is based in fact? How much of it is you kind of like pushing out? Uh, Andrew with the hive, you know, what the hell is that thing? We'll start with Sarah. How about that?
Oh, Clay, my friend, you've made a huge mistake.
You're the one who has to leave early, so just know that like you're on the clock, okay?
This, so the creature in the thing is secretly me hypothesizing a new form of lichen. And again, this isn't like a big spoiler for the book. It's kind of just scientific background that, you know, lichen um, is actually two organisms working together to form a new organism. Lichens are formed when fungus and algae work together to create something. So when you look at a rock that has lichen on it, you're looking at two creatures, but they function as one creature. The way that it works is that the fungus kind of provides structure and like cling and protection, and the algae photosynthesizes to create energy to give to the fungus. And this is one of the incredible ways that fungus, as a class of living being, functions in the world, is that it fungus for the most part can't photosynthesize, can't create their own energy, and so they work with other organisms to access energy so that they can do what they do as fungi. And that's sort of the structure of the lichens that we know. In this book, I'm hypothesizing a new form of lichen that, instead of collaborating with algae, is collaborating with very large viruses, which we've observed in labs around the world. They are somewhat rare, hopefully stay rare, but these megaviruses are extremely large, some of them large enough that you can view them without the aid of an electron microscope, and they're able to synthesize their own energy, which currently viruses, like most viruses, normal sized viruses, cannot do. Again, knock on fucking wood, because if they can, we are toast. But right now, viruses can't create their own energy, so they have to kind of do what they do in a certain amount of time in your body in order to reproduce, because they can't like then make their own energy the way that, for example, the mitochondria in your cells do. These megaviruses have been observed in vitro, creating their own, synthesizing their own energy. And if they were able to collaborate with fungus, especially, for example, in a world where rising temperatures globally are causing human bodies to be able to tolerate higher temperatures and internally maintain lower temperatures that are actually viable temperatures for fungi to live and thrive in, those fungi and viruses could hypothetically work together to invade and transform human bodies. So when you ask how much is based in science and reality, the answer is based a lot in science. Sure hope never based in reality, because we are McFucked if that happens.
That is the most romantic monster I've ever heard about. It takes two to come together and form
Mm-hmm.
a unit. I
Teamwork makes
love
the
it.
dream work, baby. And the dream is to be inside your tissue multiplying.
That's so sweet. I know it's
It's
the
also very gender somehow. I don't know. We don't have to get into that.
No, you're right.
Andrew, flies and worms. Flies and worms. Like I
Gross.
when
Yeah.
you when you came up with the hive, was it just like, oh, just a big old pile of flies and worms?
So I came up with the hive because the apartment that I was in when I started writing this is the apartment that Crane and Levi have in this, and it had a flesh fly infestation.
Mm.
Um, it also had a roach infestation, but those aren't as thematically cool. I guess they're just German roaches and they suck. Um, but we had a flesh fly infestation, which was terrible.
Okay.
Um,
Can you just take a moment and for for those who may not, what's the difference between like a flesh fly and just any other old
I'm
regular
so
not
fly?
enjoying the phrase flesh fly
yeah,
at
so
all.
I didn't know what they were until I Googled them, and they're just slightly bigger. They have black and white striped bodies and big red eyes.
Oh.
So they are about the size of yeah, I want to say they're about as long as my thumbnail. And you can hear them bumbling around and hitting things. Yeah, we also had German roaches and we also had mice, and it was not a good apartment building. But I was dealing with these flies constantly. And so I was just fixated on them when I started writing this. And then I've always just had a thing for worms, like a capital T thing for worms. I'm like, yes, obviously, we have to put them in there. The worms, well, I'll find a way to get them to interact in some way. One of my fatal flaws, I think, as an author is that I create these worlds that are super interesting and these organisms that are interesting, and then the main character has no interest in them because it's none of his business, and they never interact with it or learn more about it because they don't want to. I did that in The Spirit Bears Its Teeth. I made this whole society based on spirit work, and the main character's like, I want to be a surgeon, and never thought more about it. And I think Crane does the same thing here. He's like, yeah, this just giant pile of worms and flies tells me what to do. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm not going to learn more about this.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just going to
mean,
do what it says because I have no interest in learning more, which respect.
so you're not creating some kind of rich, dense mythology that's like reams of like pages upon pages of like history and where they come from and their origins and like that just doesn't exist because it doesn't exist for Crane.
Yeah. I'm a very monotropic thing, very narrow-minded. So like as what happens as I'm writing this is I'm like, oh, Crane's probably going to figure out this thing. All right, so I have to come up with how this works now. Because otherwise Crane doesn't care, I don't care. Um,
Oh,
which
I
is
love it.
great because writing autistic characters because if I ever tried to write a neurotypical, good fucking luck. I don't know how they work and I'm never going to figure it out. Um, so Crane is super narrow-minded and dealing with this, and so I am going to be, and it works perfectly. And I'm so sorry to all of the reviewers who want to learn more. I don't know. I have nothing to tell you. Um,
But that's the fun thing because it's like if you're looking at it through this like very narrow aperture, you're you as the reader are kind of aware of what's kind of behind like you see this much, but like there's you know
it's there.
it's there. Yeah.
But like, hey,
And
this thing is forcing me to have a baby. I don't care how it got here. I just care that I don't want this thing in me. Sorry if I'm not going to read the Wikipedia page on flesh flies. I don't know. I want this thing out. So
Well, I
I
think that was
deeply relate to
Lindsay.
Crane here.
I think Lindsay King Miller is the one who said, when readers ask what happens after the events of this book, I'm sorry, I told you everything I know.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
the thing is, this book was so upsetting that as I was editing it, I came up with a post-canon megacope, like situation of like what happens to Crane after, because this was like so devastating at the end. I was like, I just feel weird. And I'm just like, I'm in the group chat, like he needs to be happy, guys. So like yeah, I have a whole like post canon where he like recovers and goes to inpatient and gets a boyfriend. It's whatever, don't worry about it. Um,
Mm.
because I just couldn't handle it otherwise.
Wow. Will that ever exist in like the paperback edition or is that just purely for you?
In the Illumicrate bonus chapter, we get to see him, the main character, a little bit after the events of it,
Oh,
um, attempting to write letters to
yeah.
someone in particular. It's very sad. Um, but
Because
it also
you can't just give us a happy. You just not
like
that. But
it's sad in a way, but also like yeah, you get to see him like interacting with other people and getting a little better and recovering from a lot of the skill regression that he faces over the book.
Mhm.
So like you get to see him getting a little bit better. But I don't know, like I have a whole thing for like how he meets like the guy he ends up with and all of this stuff. I'm just like, it's just me playing in my little sandbox. There's no plot. This is probably boring to everyone that's not my wife or my friends.
Oh man, um, Sarah, what did you call them? Megaviruses, megaviruses. I think the title of this episode is going to be "Flesh Flies and Megaviruses." Done.
Boyfriend
Um,
material. It's fine. Don't worry about
eh,
it.
put it on a shirt. Um, I cannot thank you enough. Honestly, these books are beautiful books and they're grueling. the the journey that you as a reader go through, uh, you will not be the same. You will come out the other end a changed person, and that's the beautiful thing about books. And I want to thank you again, Sarah Gailey. Spread Me comes out on September 23rd from Tor Nightfire. We got to hear it first before anybody else, so exclusive. Love it, love it. Thank you. You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White comes out on September 9th from Saga. Uh, all the trigger warnings.
Oh, it's so
Every
bad.
last one. Just all of them. All of them. Just big old TW right across the cover. With those flies and worms. Um, guys, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah, Andrew. This has been such a pleasure. I really genuinely appreciate it.
I thank you so much for having us. This was absolutely a delight. This is one of the first opportunities I've had to talk about this book so far, and I could not be more thrilled to have gotten to do this with you. And Andrew, I'm so amped for both of us to ruin the world.
You guys are gonna ruin the world. It's
Oh, it's
over.
gonna be so much. Oh, was this adequate? Was this decent?
I
You have a
would
decent
say
time?
we met adequate for
Yeah, there we
sure.
go. Perfect.
And whatever
Yeah,
else beyond that is not our business.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I think your voice needs to go up just like one octave to be like, pretty good. It's good. Uh, hey everybody, this has been Fearmongers. Genuinely appreciate you tuning in. Flesh flies and megaviruses. Have a good night, all right?
Bye.
Bye.